I was 6 months into a deployment when my best friend in my unit accidentally sent me a video of him proposing to my wife in our kitchen. I'd been deployed in Baghdad for 6 months with my unit mate Trevor. We'd been best friends since basic training. He was the guy I trusted most in our unit. Micah, our commanding officer, assigned us to a routine patrol briefing that morning. Trevor seemed distracted during the meeting. He kept checking his phone under the table. My own phone vibrated in my pocket during Micah's briefing. I ignored it until we were dismissed. When I finally checked, I saw Trevor had sent me a video file with no explanation. I waited until I was alone in my bunk to open it. What I saw made my stomach drop. The video showed Trevor down on one knee in my kitchen back home. Kendra, my wife, stood in front of him wearing the blue dress she'd worn at our anniversary dinner. Trevor held out a ring. Kendra nodded and said yes. I watched the 30-second clip 17 times in a row. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped my phone. This couldn't be real. I called Kendra immediately. It was around 3 a.m. her time, but I didn't care. The call went straight to voicemail. I tried again and again. I left messages that grew increasingly desperate. No response. I finally sent a text asking what the hell was going on. 6 hours passed before she replied with a message that felt nothing like her usual texts. We need to talk when you get home. I'm sorry. No emojis. No inside jokes, none of the random thoughts she usually included. I found Trevor in the mess tent during chow. He was sitting alone, pushing food around his plate. I sat down across from him without saying a word. What's up? He asked, not meeting my eyes. I placed my phone on the table between us. The video paused on the frame where he was proposing to my wife. Want to explain this? I asked. Trevor's face went completely white. He stared at the screen like he was seeing a ghost. I never sent you any video, he said, pulling out his own phone. He showed me his sent messages. There was nothing there to me. That's impossible, I said. This came from your number this morning. Trevor looked at the video again. I've never been to your house during deployment. This isn't real. It can't be. His hands were shaking as he handed my phone back. He changed the subject quickly, asking about the patrol schedule for the next day. I noticed he kept glancing at his phone every few minutes. His laugh sounded forced when he tried joking about Micah's briefing style. Tyrese pulled me aside after lunch. Your boy Trevor's been making some strange calls lately, he said. Always walks way out where nobody can hear him. I checked our bank accounts that night. There were unexplained withdrawals totaling nearly $2,000 over the past month. Restaurant charges in places Kendra never went. Gas station purchases across town from her work. Kendra's calls became shorter and less frequent after that day. She stopped sending me random photos of her day. Her voice sounded different, more formal, like she was talking to a stranger. When she did call, she gave vague answers about what she was doing. She never mentioned Trevor. She never explained the video. I lay awake at night wondering what they were planning together and why Trevor had accidentally sent me proof of their betrayal. I called Marcus the next morning. He'd been my friend since before I enlisted. If anyone could help me figure out what Trevor was up to, it was him. I need you to watch Trevor, I said. Marcus didn't ask questions. He never did. Consider it done, he replied. I trusted him more than anyone in our unit. Trevor started acting even stranger after our confrontation. He avoided me during meals. He volunteered for different patrol rotations. Marcus reported back 3 days later. Trevor's been collecting packages, he said. 3 times in 1 week, different senders each time. I thanked him and hung up. My mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. I caught Trevor outside the mailroom that afternoon. He was carrying a small box with no return address. He shoved it in his pocket when he saw me. Hey man, we good? He asked with forced casualness. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Sure, I lied. I watched him hurry away, shoulders tense. Later that day, I overheard Trevor talking on his phone near the latrines. He can't find out yet, Trevor said. Not until we're ready. My blood ran cold. I knew he was talking about me. Kendra's calls became even more distant. When I asked about her day, she gave vague answers. No details, no stories about coworkers or friends. Send me a picture of what you're doing, I said during one call. She used to do this all the time. My phone camera's acting up, she replied. Another lie to add to the pile. I needed expert help. Seth worked in our unit's tech division. He'd analyzed video evidence in his previous assignment with military intelligence. Can you tell if this video is real? I asked, showing him the proposal clip on my phone. Seth studied it for nearly an hour. His verdict made my stomach drop. This isn't digitally altered, he said. The lighting, shadows, reflections, everything checks out. This happened exactly as you're seeing it. I thanked him and walked away in a daze. The video was real. Trevor had proposed to my wife in our kitchen. 2 days later, I found something in Trevor's locker during a routine equipment check. Folded between his spare uniform were blueprints. I recognized the layout immediately. It was my neighborhood, my street. My house was circled in red. Marcus caught me that evening with more news. Trevor met someone at the perimeter fence last night, he said. Guy named Roman from the engineering corps. What were they doing? I asked. Exchanging papers, looking at maps. They stopped talking when I got close. I couldn't sleep that night. Everything pointed to something terrible being planned. The next morning, I requested emergency leave from Micah. I claimed a family emergency. You don't look good, Micah said, studying my face. When's the last time you slept? I'm fine, I lied. Just need to handle some things at home. Micah approved my leave without further questions. I was scheduled to fly out in 2 days. That night, I received another video. This one came from an unknown number. It was recorded just 2 days ago, according to the timestamp. The footage showed Trevor and Kendra in what looked like a hotel room. They were reviewing floor plans spread across a table. My floor plans, my home. The timing has to be perfect, Trevor said in the video. Kendra nodded in agreement. I called my brother Parker immediately. I need a place to stay when I get back, I said. Don't tell anyone I'm coming home early. My apartment is yours, Parker replied. What's going on? I'll explain when I see you, I said. Just don't tell anyone, not even Mom and Dad. I only told Marcus about my early return. Keep watching, Trevor, I instructed. Let me know if anything changes. I packed my bags that night, my mind racing with what I might find when I got home. Whatever Trevor and Kendra were planning, I needed to be ready. The blueprints, the secret meetings, the proposal video, it all pointed to something bigger than just an affair. This was coordinated, planned. I stared at the ceiling of my bunk, wondering how my wife and best friend had turned into strangers plotting against me, and what exactly they were planning to do when I returned home. I landed at the airport around midnight and took a cab straight to Parker's apartment. He was waiting up for me, concern etched on his face. Thanks for doing this, I said as I dropped my duffel bag by his couch. What's going on? Parker asked. I showed him both videos on my phone. His face darkened as he watched. This doesn't make any sense. Trevor's proposing to Kendra in your house? There's more, I said. I told him everything. The blueprints, the secret meetings, the unexplained bank withdrawals. Parker offered to come with me to check out the house the next day. I declined. This was something I needed to face alone. I drove by our house early the next morning. Kendra's car wasn't in the driveway. The house looked exactly the same from the outside. I used my key to enter through the back door. The house was silent, unnaturally clean. It felt like a model home rather than a place someone lived. I checked every room methodically. Nothing seemed out of place until I reached our bedroom. The closet was half empty. Kendra's favorite clothes were gone. In my office, I found the hidden security camera system I'd installed before deployment. I rarely checked the footage, but now I was desperate for answers. I scrolled through the last week of recordings. There she was, Kendra meeting Trevor at a coffee shop downtown 3 days ago. They sat close, heads together, talking intensely. The basement was my next stop. I pulled the chain on the single bulb and made my way down the creaking stairs. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. Old boxes, holiday decorations, the water heater humming in the corner. I noticed the wall behind the storage shelves looked different. The paint was slightly newer. I pushed the shelf aside and found a false panel. Behind it was a weapons cache. 3 handguns, a rifle, ammunition boxes, and what looked like military-grade radio equipment. My phone rang, startling me. It was Serena, Kendra's best friend. Hey, when did you get back? She asked cheerfully. Kendra's been working so hard on your surprise homecoming plan. My blood ran cold. Surprise homecoming? Oops, I wasn't supposed to say anything. Serena laughed. Just act surprised when you get back next week, okay? I mumbled something and hung up. Kendra thought I was still deployed. She had no idea I was home. I decided to follow her. I parked down the street from our house and waited. Around noon, Kendra pulled into the driveway. She looked exactly the same, yet completely different. She moved with purpose, checking her surroundings before entering the house. 20 minutes later, she emerged carrying a laptop bag. I followed her car at a safe distance across town to an abandoned warehouse district. She parked beside Trevor's truck. Another vehicle was there too. I recognized Roman's sedan from the base. I crept closer to the warehouse, staying hidden behind stacks of shipping pallets. Through a dirty window, I could see them huddled around a table covered with papers. The extraction plan is set, Trevor said, his voice carrying through the partially open door. When he returns next week, we'll be ready. Are you sure he doesn't suspect anything? Roman asked. Positive, Trevor replied. He has no idea what's waiting for him. I'd heard enough. I pushed through the door, my hand on the gun I'd taken from the basement cache. All 3 of them froze. Kendra's face went pale. Trevor slowly raised his hands. What the hell is going on? I demanded, pointing the weapon at Trevor. What are you planning? Put the gun down, Trevor said calmly. This isn't what you think. Really? Because it looks like my wife and best friend are planning something for when I get home. Something involving weapons hidden in my basement. We're military intelligence, Trevor said slowly. Deep cover, both of us. I laughed bitterly. That's your explanation? Try again. Kendra stepped forward. It's true. We discovered a terrorist cell targeting military families, specifically soldiers returning from deployment. The door behind me opened. A man in plain clothes entered, flanked by 2 uniformed officers. I'm Darius, military intelligence, he said, showing me credentials. Trevor and Kendra are telling the truth. They're part of my team. I lowered the gun slightly, still processing what I was hearing. We identified a pattern 6 months ago, Darius explained. Returning soldiers were being targeted in their homes. We needed to infiltrate. Trevor stepped closer. I'm sorry about the proposal video. We needed to send it to you. We knew the terrorists were monitoring all base communications. We needed your genuine reaction, Kendra added. The terrorists have someone inside your unit. We had to flush them out. My head was spinning. Our marriage? Was that part of the operation too? Kendra looked away. Darius answered for her. Kendra has been working with us for 5 years. Your initial meeting was arranged. The room tilted sideways. Everything I thought was real suddenly wasn't. The weapons in the basement? I asked, my voice hollow. Protection, Trevor said. We've been using your house as a safe house. The terrorists have been watching it, waiting for your return. Why didn't you just tell me? I demanded. All communications from your base are compromised, Darius said. We couldn't risk it. Lives were at stake. I looked at Kendra, the woman I thought I knew. Was any of it real? Her eyes filled with tears. It became real. That's the truth. It wasn't supposed to, but it did. I sat down heavily on a nearby crate, trying to absorb the magnitude of what I was hearing. My entire life had been an operation, my marriage, a mission parameter. What happens now? I asked, looking at no one in particular. Now, Darius said, we finish this, with your help, if you're willing. The military conducted coordinated raids across 3 states the following morning. I watched the operation unfold from a secure command center with Darius. The terrorist cell had been planning attacks on over 50 military families. Trevor stood beside me, monitoring the radio chatter. I still couldn't look at him without feeling sick. We've been tracking this group for 18 months, Darius explained. They specifically target soldiers returning from deployment. The main screen showed tactical teams breaching houses and warehouses simultaneously. They recovered weapons, explosives, and detailed files on military personnel and their families. Your house was going to be their test case, Trevor said quietly. The blueprints were for installing surveillance, not an attack plan. I ignored him. I couldn't process that my entire marriage had been built on lies. Kendra entered the room with a stack of files. She hesitated when she saw me, then sat at the far end of the conference table. All primary targets secured, she reported to Darius. No casualties on our side. I stood up abruptly. I need some air. Outside, I leaned against the building and tried to breathe. Parker found me there 20 minutes later. They explained everything, he said. It's a lot to take in. My entire life was an operation, I replied. My wife isn't even my wife. Parker shook his head. That's not what Kendra said. I laughed bitterly. And I should believe her now? Just hear her out, Parker suggested. What do you have to lose? I found Kendra alone in a small office, reviewing surveillance footage. She looked up when I entered. I don't even know your real name, I said. It is Kendra, she replied. That part was real. I sat across from her. What else was real? She closed her laptop. The mission was to marry you for cover. I was supposed to monitor your communications and use your house as a safe location. And now? I asked. Now I'm offering you a choice, she said. We can divorce quietly. The military will compensate you for your trouble. Or we can try again, she said, this time with the truth. I stared at her, searching for any sign of the woman I thought I'd married. I fell in love with you, she continued. That wasn't part of the plan. Darius knocked on the door before I could respond. Trevor's being awarded a commendation, he said. They're transferring him to a new unit tomorrow. I nodded, still looking at Kendra. I need time to think. Later that day, Darius showed me Kendra's personnel file. She requested protective detail for you 6 months into your marriage, he said. That wasn't part of the mission parameters. What does that mean? I asked. It means she was developing genuine feelings, Darius explained. She was worried the terrorists might target you specifically. I thought about our first year together, the small moments that seemed so real. The blueprints in Trevor's locker, I said. What were they really for? Security upgrades, Darius confirmed. We were installing additional protection in your home before your scheduled return. That night, Parker and I talked for hours in his apartment. He listened without judgment as I sorted through my thoughts. She lied about everything, I said. Not everything, Parker replied. I saw how she looked at you today. 2 weeks later, Kendra and I sat in our first counseling session. The military provided a therapist with security clearance who specialized in relationships affected by covert operations. This is unprecedented, Dr. Winters said. Most marriages that begin as cover stories don't survive the revelation. Kendra reached for my hand. I let her take it. I want to try, she said, if you do. The military offered me a position in intelligence. I would work alongside Kendra's team, using my combat experience in a new capacity. You have unique insight now, Darius explained. We could use someone like you. I met Trevor one last time before his transfer. He looked different in his dress uniform, the commendation medal gleaming on his chest. I never meant for us to become friends, he admitted, but it happened anyway. Was any of it real? I asked. More than you think, he replied. I'm sorry for the deception. I learned that Tyrese had been another undercover agent, monitoring our unit for terrorist connections. He nodded at me across the mess hall on his last day. 3 months later, Kendra and I stood in our kitchen, reviewing actual renovation plans. No hidden compartments, no weapons caches, just a normal kitchen remodel. Is this too normal for you? I asked her. After years of undercover work? She smiled. Normal is exactly what I want. We renewed our vows in a small ceremony with only Parker and a few trusted friends present. This time, we both knew exactly who we were marrying. No more secrets, Kendra promised, as we exchanged rings. I still had moments of doubt, nights when I'd wake up wondering if everything was another elaborate operation, but those moments grew fewer as time passed. The terrorist network was completely dismantled. Their connections within military units were exposed and neutralized. Our home was finally just a home. Do you regret finding out the truth? Kendra asked me one evening as we sat on our porch. No, I answered honestly. I'd rather know who I'm really married to. She squeezed my hand. For what it's worth, you're married to me, the real me. And for the first time since seeing that video of Trevor proposing, I believed it might be true.